The mining fleet prospector's instrument panel lit up with an unfamiliar signal pattern. Lieutenant Maya Patel leaned forward in her command chair, squinting at the readout. After 6 months of routine asteroid scanning, anything unusual caught her attention. This signal, however, was unlike anything she'd encountered in her 8 years of deep space service. "Navigation, hold position," she ordered, fingers dancing across her haptic interface. The signal pulsed in regular intervals, its frequency shifting through patterns too precise to be natural. "Engineering, run a full spectrum analysis. Something in this belt is trying to talk to us." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, their breathing barely audible over the gentle hum of ship systems. Maya studied the asteroid field stretched before them. A sea of tumbling rocks painted golden by a distant sun. Standard protocol dictated she should report the anomaly and wait for instructions, but curiosity pulled at her like gravity. "Signal analysis complete," her engineering officer announced. It's odd, Lieutenant. The transmission carries markers similar to our quantum communication protocols, but the complexity suggests it's centuries ahead of our technology." Maya nodded, decision made. Plot an approach vector to the source. Minimal thrust, passive sensors only. She opened a channel to the ship's eye. Begin recording first contact protocols. If this goes badly, Earth should know what happened. The prospector glided through the asteroid field, its mining arrays now repurposed as makeshift shields. As they drew closer, the source revealed itself, a smooth obsidian structure about the size of a small shuttle, seamlessly merged with a mineral-rich asteroid. No visible seams, no obvious entry points, just an occasional ripple of energy across its surface, like heat waves on a summer road. Life support detected no biological signatures, her science officer reported. But there's an energy matrix throughout the structure that... Wait. He paused, rechecking his readings. "Lieutenant, the signal just changed. I think it's responding to our presence." Before Maya could reply, a holographic interface bloomed to life before her command station. Streams of alien text cascaded through the air, automatically shifting and translating themselves into Earth standard as her eyes fell upon them. The title alone made her breath catch. Galactic Assembly Database. Primary Archive of the 10 Sovereign Species. Maya's fingers trembled as she navigated through the interface. The database contained detailed entries about civilizations that wielded power beyond human comprehension. The Starwavers, who taught stars to dance new orbits. The quantum architects, who built computers from the fabric of space-time itself. Each entry documented achievements that read like poetry written by gods. Then she found the human entry. Unlike the others, it was mostly empty. A few basic details about Earth's location, atmospheric composition, and technological level filled the top section. The rest displayed only a single line of text. Status: under evaluation. "Lieutenant," her communications officer called out, voice tight with tension. "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming through on all frequencies, all channels, even ones we shouldn't be able to access." A holographic display shifted, resolving into a message that made Maya's heart skip. "Greetings, human explorers. Your species' investigation of this archive has been noted. As per Protocol 7249B of the Galactic Assembly, you are hereby invited to present humanity's case for recognition before the Council of 10. You have 90 local solar days to prepare your representatives. Coordinates and temporal specifications follow." Maya sat back in her chair, mind racing with implications. Humanity had just been noticed by powers that casually reshaped stars and built worlds. Their invitation wasn't just a diplomatic opportunity, it was a test. And somehow, she knew that simply showing up wouldn't be enough. The empty database entry waited to be filled, and what they wrote there would determine humanity's place among the stars. "Navigation," she said, voice steady despite her racing heart. "Plot a course back to Earth. Maximum speed." She opened a channel to Fleet Command, knowing the message she was about to send would change human history forever. And someone better wake up the xenodiplomats. Their jobs just got a lot more interesting. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with barely contained chaos. Representatives from every major spacefaring nation crowded the circular hall, their voices rising in a crescendo of excitement and fear. Maya stood at the central podium, projection screens behind her showing the alien database's contents. The crystalline archivists have maintained this repository for over 50,000 years, she explained, bringing up images of the obsidian structure they'd discovered. Each entry documents the achievements that earned a species their place among the galactic powers. A Chinese delegate raised her hand. And they've been watching us. All this time. Yes, Maya confirmed, advancing to the human entry. But we're different from the others. Most species were invited after mastering a single domain. Energy manipulation, megastructure engineering, biological transformation. We're the first to be noticed for showing potential across multiple fields. The chamber erupted in heated discussion. Maya glanced at Isabella Rodriguez, the xenoanthropologist who'd been analyzing the database since the prospector's return. Isabella nodded and stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "We've confirmed the authenticity of the invitation," Isabella announced. "The quantum signature matches patterns we've detected from unexplained astronomical phenomena. These beings are real, and they're waiting for our response." The council president leaned forward. "Lieutenant Patel, Dr. Rodriguez, you've studied this data for 2 weeks now. What exactly are we dealing with?" Maya gestured, and the screens filled with images of impossible achievements. The Starweavers manipulate stellar matter like we shape clay. The quantum architects build computers larger than solar systems. The mindscape shapers create virtual realities indistinguishable from base existence. "And they want us to present ourselves," someone asked incredulously. "We've barely reached Mars." Isabella took over. "That's just it. They're not expecting us to match their power. The database entry suggests they're more interested in our rate of progress and adaptation. Most species took millennia to reach space. We did it in decades." The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't been invited because they were powerful, but because they were different. A new voice spoke up from the back. "We received another transmission 10 minutes ago." All heads turned to face the communications officer who'd just entered. The crystalline archivists provided more details about the presentation. Maya accepted the data tablet, her eyes widening as she read. "They're sending a ship," she announced. "It will arrive in 30 days to transport Earth's representatives to the assembly station. We're allowed to bring 3 delegates and technical specifications for something called a compatibility matrix test." "What kind of test?" the president asked. Isabella studied the specifications on her own device. "It appears to be a standardized method for measuring a species' potential. Each current member had to complete it before joining the assembly." "And if we fail?" The question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Maya scrolled through the transmission, her expression grave. "The database indicates that failed candidates are redirected to more suitable developmental paths." The implications weren't lost on anyone. Humanity's first real contact with galactic civilization would also be their judgment day. "We need a plan," Maya stated firmly. "These beings are beyond us technologically, but they're interested in our potential. We should focus on demonstrating our ability to learn and adapt." The president nodded slowly. "Agreed. Dr. Rodriguez, you'll head the research team analyzing their civilization data. Lieutenant Patel, gather our best scientists and diplomats. You've got 30 days to prepare them for an audience with beings that shape stars." As the chamber filled with renewed discussion, Maya felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. Humanity had clawed its way up from stone tools to starships, driven by an insatiable curiosity about what lay beyond the next horizon. Now they faced their greatest test, proving they deserved a place among the cosmos' eldest children. She opened the database again, staring at the blank human entry. Soon, they would fill those empty spaces with their own story, She just hoped it would be enough. Isabella Rodriguez's office had transformed into a war room of knowledge. Holographic displays covered every wall, each showing fragments of the alien database. She stood in the center, surrounded by cascading streams of information about the 10 ruling species. "Look at this pattern," she called out to Maya, who sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by tablets. The Starweavers didn't just master stellar engineering. They became one with it. Their consciousness exists partly within solar plasma. Maya looked up from her own research. Like the quantum architects living in their computer matrices, each species seems to have merged with their specialty. Exactly. Isabella waved her hand, rearranging the displays. The Mindscape Shapers evolved to exist simultaneously across multiple realities. The Voidwalkers transformed themselves to navigate dimensional spaces we can't even perceive. A soft chime interrupted them as the door slid open. Their third teammate, Miguel Santos, entered with fresh coffee and dark circles under his eyes. As Earth's leading expert in xenotechnology, he'd been analyzing the technical specifications for the compatibility test. "The test parameters are impossible," he announced, setting down the drinks. "They want us to demonstrate mastery of fundamental forces we barely understand. It's like asking Stone Age humans to build quantum computers." Isabella smiled. "That's what bothers me. These beings are ancient and wise. Why invite us to fail?" Maya stood up, stretching. "Show me the test requirements again." Miguel projected the specifications, 7 trials, each focusing on a different domain. Energy manipulation, matter transformation, consciousness expansion, dimensional engineering, temporal mechanics, biological manipulation, and something they call cosmic resonance. "But look here." Isabella pointed to a footnote they'd almost missed. "Candidates may demonstrate potential through any means that achieve the specified results." Maya's eyes widened. "They're not testing our mastery. They're testing our approach." She rushed to her own console, pulling up humanity's scientific history. Every major breakthrough we've had came from combining different fields. We cracked faster than light travel by merging quantum mechanics with biological systems. We developed planetary terraforming by applying music theory to atmospheric chemistry. The ultimate generalists, Miguel mused, understanding dawning on his face, while they perfected one path to power. "We explored them all," Isabella finished. "Imperfectly, maybe, but we never stopped looking for connections between different domains." Maya began pacing, energy radiating from her movements. "The Starweavers achieve cosmic engineering through pure energy manipulation, but we might be able to get similar results by combining gravitational mechanics with quantum field theory. And biological principles," Miguel added, catching her enthusiasm. "Living systems already know how to maintain complex energy patterns. If we scale up those principles..." Isabella held up her hand, silencing them. "Wait. Look at this." She pulled up a new section of the database, previously encrypted. The assembly station itself. It's not just a meeting place. It's a massive simulation system. The 3 humans stared at the technical readouts. The station could generate pocket universes, creating controlled environments to test different approaches to manipulating reality. "They're not just watching to see if we can solve the problems," Maya breathed. "They want to see how we solve them. Our solutions will tell them something about us, about human potential." Miguel checked the countdown timer on his wrist. "We have 15 days until the transport arrives. If we're right about this, we need to prepare differently," Isabella concluded. "Instead of trying to match their individual strengths, we show them something new." Maya finished. "A species that doesn't seek to master one path to power, but to understand how all paths connect." They worked through the night, fueled by coffee and revelation. As they dug deeper into the database, patterns emerged. Each ruling species had achieved immortality and power by perfecting their chosen domain. But humanity's path would be different. Not the mastery of one field, but the ability to weave them all together into something new. The question was whether the assembly would see that as strength or weakness. In 15 days, they would find out. The transport ship emerged from dimensional space into a realm of impossibilities. Maya pressed her hand against the observation window, mouth slightly open as she took in the assembly station. No database entry could have prepared them for this. The station was a massive Mobius strip of crystalline structures and flowing energy, perpetually folding through dimensions that human eyes struggle to process. At its heart, a star pulsed with impossible colors, its nuclear fire contained within geometric patterns that seemed to repeat infinitely. Beautiful, isn't it? The transport's pilot, a being of living crystal who had introduced himself as Observer Nexus, spoke in perfectly rendered Earth standard. The station exists simultaneously in 12 dimensions. Your minds are currently being assisted to perceive 4 of them. Isabella and Miguel stood beside Maya, their research tablets forgotten as they watched ships of various impossible configurations navigate the space around the station. Some moved by folding space itself, others rode waves of probability, while still others seemed to simply exist at their destinations without traveling between points. The assembly gathers, Observer Nexus announced as they approached a docking spiral that grew to meet them. All 10 sovereign species will witness your presentation. The human delegation followed their crystalline guide through corridors that defied Euclidean geometry. Maya noticed how each turn seemed to take them through subtle shifts in reality, adjusting their perceptions for what was to come. They emerged into the assembly chamber, a vast space that somehow existed both inside and outside the station simultaneously. 10 distinct sections house representatives of the ruling species, each environment adapted to their unique forms of existence. The Starweavers occupy a section of pure plasma, their consciousness visible as patterns of magnetic energy. The quantum architects existed as matrices of pure information, projected through crystalline lattices. The mindscape shapers shifted between multiple forms, each representing a different possible reality. The humans have arrived. A chorus of voices resonated through their minds. Let the exhibition of powers commence. One by one, each species demonstrated their mastery. The Voidwalkers opened windows between dimensions, showing how they had mapped paths through realities humans couldn't comprehend. The Starweavers conducted a symphony of stellar matter, creating and destroying star systems with elegant precision. The quantum architects generated universes in miniature, running entire cosmic histories in moments. The mindscape shapers wove dreams into reality, transforming the chamber into landscapes of pure thought and possibility. Maya felt Isabella's hand grip her arm as the displays continued. Each demonstration was more overwhelming than the last, showing power that made humanity's greatest achievements seem like a child's first steps. Then the chamber fell silent. All attention turned to the human delegation. Isabella stepped forward first, her voice steady despite the pressure. Honored assembly, we cannot match your individual mastery. Instead, we offer something different. Maya activated the presentation device they had prepared. The chamber filled with a holographic display of human history, not of their power, but of their connections. Here, Isabella pointed to images of early humans creating tools. We learned to combine materials in new ways. The display shifted through time. We discovered mathematics in music, art in science, patterns that connected seemingly separate domains of knowledge. Miguel stepped forward. When we reached for the stars, we combined biology with physics. The display showed living ships powered by hybridized systems that merged multiple scientific disciplines. When we faced problems we couldn't solve through one approach, we found solutions by bridging different fields. Maya took the final portion. We don't seek to master one path to power, she declared. Humanity's strength lies in seeing how all paths interconnect. We are explorers not just of space, but of possibility. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then, from the section housing the crystalline archivists, came a resonating thought. At last, you begin to understand. The true test was never about power at all. The assembly chamber's reality shifted, and the human delegation realized their presentation had only been the beginning. The assembly chamber transformed around them, reality folding like origami, until they stood in a vast testing arena. Geometric patterns of light and shadow danced across surfaces that seemed to exist between states of matter. The compatibility matrix begins, announced the combined consciousness of the mindscape shapers. 7 trials, 7 domains of mastery. But for the humans, we add a special condition. Maya exchanged glances with Isabella and Miguel. They had anticipated something like this, but the reality was far more intense than their preparation suggested. Each trial must be solved through a different methodology. The quantum architects added, their voice rippling through probability waves. No repeated approaches. Show us the connections you claim to see. The first trial chamber materialized around them. A miniature star burned in the center, its plasma rioting in unstable patterns that threatened to collapse into a supernova. Stabilize the stellar core, the Starweavers commanded, without direct energy manipulation. Maya stepped forward, mind racing. The obvious solution, the one the Starweavers used, would be to directly control the plasma flows. But they needed a different approach. Miguel, she called out, remember our discussion about living systems? He nodded, already pulling up data on his tablet. Biological systems naturally maintain complex energy patterns. If we scale up cellular principles, Isabella caught on, like a living cell maintaining homeostasis, but on a stellar scale. They worked quickly, programming the chamber's reality engines to impose biological control principles on the star's plasma. Instead of forcing stability through raw power, they created a self-regulating system based on organic patterns. The star's chaos slowly settled into a steady rhythm, its energy flows finding natural balance points derived from cellular mechanics. The Starweavers hummed with interest. Unexpected approach, they acknowledged. Proceed to the second trial. The chamber shifted again. This time, they faced a quantum maze, billions of superimposed pathways through probability space. The quantum architects had demonstrated mastery by directly computing all possibilities simultaneously. Different approach, Miguel reminded them. We can't match their processing power. Isabella studied the maze's pattern, then smiled. We don't need to. Look at the structure. It's like music. She quickly explained her idea. The quantum pathways followed patterns similar to harmonic progressions. By treating the probabilities as notes in a vast cosmic symphony, they could find the resonant path through feeling rather than calculation. The solution worked, though several assembly members rippled with what might have been disbelief. A musical solution to a quantum mathematics problem was apparently unprecedented. 5 more trials awaited, each requiring a new way of thinking. The humans faced gravitational engineering, dimensional mapping, consciousness expansion, temporal mechanics, and cosmic resonance. For each, they would need to find connections no other species had considered. Your species walks an unusual path, observed the crystalline archivists as the third trial began. Most seek to climb the mountain of mastery. You instead build bridges between peaks. Maya watched as Isabella and Miguel prepared their next solution, combining principles of social networks with gravitational fields. We've learned that every mountain offers a different view, she replied. Why limit ourselves to one perspective? The third trial chamber filled with gravitational distortions that needed reorganizing. As her team worked, Maya noticed something subtle about the assembly members watching them. Behind their displays of power and superiority, she sensed an emotion she hadn't expected to find in such advanced beings. They were learning from humanity's solutions, finding new connections they had never considered in their drive for singular mastery. Perhaps that was the true purpose of these trials, not to test humanity's worth, but to demonstrate the value of their unique perspective. Ready for the next approach? Isabella asked, pulling Maya from her thoughts. She nodded, focusing on the challenge ahead. 4 more trials, 4 more chances to show the assembly that sometimes the best path forward isn't the most powerful, It's the one that brings everything together in new ways. The fourth trial chamber materialized around them, its boundaries rippling with dimensional instability. The Voidwalkers had demonstrated their mastery by simply willing the space-time distortions into perfect alignment. Now it was humanity's turn. The dimensional barriers require stabilization, the Voidwalkers announce, their forms shifting through multiple planes of existence. Show us your method. Maya studied the swirling chaos of realities bleeding into each other. They couldn't match the Voidwalkers' innate ability to perceive and manipulate dimensional boundaries. They needed another approach. Isabella, she called out, remember your research on ancient human architecture. Isabella's eyes lit up. Sacred geometry, the way certain cultures built structures to resonate with natural energy patterns. Miguel, can you map the dimensional fluctuations to geometric principles? He was already working on his tablet, converting the data now. It's like a cathedral of reality, each dimension creating its own arch of stability. They began constructing their solution. Instead of forcing the dimensions into alignment through pure will, they created a framework of geometric patterns that naturally guided the realities into harmony. Like ancient architects building monuments that would stand for millennia, they let mathematical principles do the work for them. The dimensional chaos slowly settled into elegant patterns, each reality finding its natural place in the greater structure. The Voidwalkers' consciousness rippled with surprise. You build frameworks rather than exert control, they observed. Fascinating. The fifth trial emerged before them. A challenge of temporal mechanics. The quantum architects had shown their mastery by directly computing every possible timeline. But humanity had to find another way. Time isn't just mathematics, Isabella suggested, watching the temporal currents swirl around them. It's also narrative. Every culture on Earth tells stories to understand time's flow. Maya caught her meaning. We can treat the timeline variations like plot threads in a story. Each possibility follows narrative rules: setup, conflict, resolution. They restructured the temporal maze using storytelling principles. Instead of calculating probabilities, they looked for satisfying narrative arcs that naturally drew timeline branches together. The solution wasn't perfect, but it was elegant in its own way. The sixth trial brought them face to face with consciousness expansion, the domain of the mindscape shapers. The challenge required them to extend their awareness beyond physical limits. We can't match their mental powers, Miguel noted, but what about our cultural history of collective consciousness? They adapted principles from social networks, showing how individual minds could connect and expand through shared understanding rather than pure psychic power. The solution earned them thoughtful silence from the assembly. As the final trial approached, Maya noticed a change in the ruling species' behavior. They had stopped simply observing and had begun actively studying humanity's methods. The crystalline archivists were recording every solution in detail. Your species creates tools from concepts, the archivists noted. You build bridges between different domains of knowledge, finding connections we never considered in our pursuit of singular mastery. The seventh trial chamber formed around them, a test of cosmic resonance. The Starweavers had demonstrated this by becoming one with the universe's fundamental frequencies. Humanity would need yet another unique approach. Look at how we've solved each trial, Isabella said suddenly. We've used biology for stellar mechanics, music for quantum computing, architecture for dimensional engineering, storytelling for temporal manipulation, social dynamics for consciousness expansion. We're not just solving individual problems, Maya realized. We're demonstrating that everything connects. That's our solution for cosmic resonance. They began their final demonstration, weaving together elements from all their previous solutions. As they worked, the assembly members drew closer, their attention focused with an intensity that suggested more than mere evaluation. The humans weren't just being tested anymore. They were teaching the galaxy's most powerful beings a lesson about the power of connections, showing that true cosmic resonance comes not from mastering one frequency, but from understanding how all frequencies interweave to create the symphony of existence. As the final notes of their cosmic resonance solution faded away, the trial chamber dissolved into streams of pure data. Maya, Isabella, and Miguel found themselves standing in a vast digital space, surrounded by flowing rivers of information that stretched infinitely in all directions. "The trials are complete," the combined voices of the assembly announced. "But there is one final truth you must understand." The digital space around them crystallized into familiar shapes: the mining fleet prospector, the asteroid belt where they had found the database, the transport ship that had brought them to the assembly station. None of it was real, Maya whispered, understanding dawning in her eyes. "From the moment we found the database, your physical bodies remain in deep sleep aboard our observation vessel," the crystalline archivists confirmed. "Everything you have experienced has been a simulation designed to test not just your solutions, but your very approach to understanding reality." Isabella stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overtaking her surprise. The database, the trials, even our solutions, they were all part of the test. "Yes and no," the quantum architects responded, their data patterns shifting thoughtfully. "Your solutions were your own, drawn from genuine human knowledge and creativity. The simulation merely provided the framework to express them." Miguel studied the flowing data around them. "Why the deception? Why not simply tell us what you were testing?" The mindscape shapers emerged from the digital flow, their forms now more clearly visible as beings of pure thought and possibility. "Because the true test was not of your power or even your potential. It was of your perspective." The space shifted again, showing them images of the other species' histories. Each had followed a similar path, discovering one aspect of cosmic power and pursuing it to its ultimate expression. "We achieved mastery," the Starweavers explained, "but at a cost. Each of us became so specialized, so focused on our chosen domain, that we began to lose the ability to understand other perspectives. The assembly was created to combine our knowledge," the Voidwalkers added, "but we found ourselves unable to truly collaborate. We speak different languages of power, see reality through lenses too distinct to reconcile." Maya looked at her teammates, then back at the assembled species. "And that's why you sought us out. Not because we showed potential in any one domain, but because you never stopped seeking connections between all of them," the crystalline archivists finished. "Your solutions to the trials proved what we had hoped, that humanity possesses the unique ability to understand and translate between different ways of perceiving reality." The digital space filled with replays of their trial solutions, the biological approach to stellar mechanics, the musical solution to quantum problems, the architectural answer to dimensional engineering. Each demonstration had shown a new way to bridge seemingly incompatible domains of knowledge. "We have spent millennia perfecting our individual arts," the assembly continued. "But you showed us connections we had never imagined, ways to combine our knowledge that we could not see through our specialized perspectives." Isabella's eyes widened. "The empty database entry, you weren't waiting for us to prove our power. We were waiting for a species that could help us remember how all powers connect," the mindscape shapers confirmed. "A species that could serve not as another master of one domain, but as translators between all domains." The digital space began to shift again, preparing to return them to physical reality. But before it did, the combined consciousness of the assembly left them with one final revelation. "Your trial solutions will be studied and implemented across the galaxy," they announced. "Not because they were the most powerful approaches, but because they showed us new ways to combine our existing powers. You have given us something we had lost in our pursuit of ultimate mastery: the ability to see the connections that bind all knowledge together." As the simulation prepared to end, Maya realized that humanity had passed a test far more important than proving their worth. They had shown the galaxy's most powerful beings that true understanding comes not from mastering one path, but from learning to walk between all paths. The real challenge was just beginning. The observation vessel's meditation chamber hummed with quiet energy as Maya, Isabella and Miguel opened their eyes, returning to physical reality. The simulation had lasted mere hours, but the knowledge they had gained would reshape humanity's destiny. "Welcome back," Observer Nexus greeted them, his crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. "The assembly has reached its decision." Through the chamber's viewing portal, they could see Earth floating like a blue jewel in the darkness. The observation vessel had maintained position just beyond lunar orbit, hidden from human detection while the trials took place. "Before you announce anything," Maya said, standing carefully as she readjusted to her body, "we have a proposal of our own." Isabella and Miguel nodded, having discussed this during their final moments in the simulation. They had seen not just what humanity could learn from the assembly, but what they could offer in return. "The assembly asked for translators," Isabella began, "but we suggest something more, a true exchange of perspectives." Miguel brought up a holographic display, showing a new type of educational framework. "We propose creating institutes across Earth where your species can teach humans your specialized knowledge. In return, our best minds will help find new ways to combine your powers." The crystalline being's facets shifted in what they had learned to recognize as interest. "Elaborate." Maya stepped forward. "Imagine Starweaver techniques enhanced by biological principles, creating living stars that heal themselves. Quantum computing matrices structured by musical theory, processing information through harmony instead of pure mathematics. Your species' greatest achievements combined in ways you never considered," Isabella added, "while humanity learns to bridge the gaps between different domains of cosmic power." Observer Nexus was silent for a long moment, communicating with the distant assembly. When he spoke again, his tone carried new warmth. "The assembly accepts your proposal, with an addition of their own. They offer to establish a new organization, the Convergence Institute. Its purpose will be to explore and develop these connections between different paths of power." The humans exchanged excited glances as Nexus continued. "Earth will host the first Convergence Institute, with others to follow across the galaxy. Your species will learn our specialized knowledge, while teaching us how to see the connections we have forgotten." The holographic display shifted, showing plans for massive structures that would combine architecture from all 11 species, the 10 assembly members and humanity. Each institute would be a physical representation of their new partnership. "What about the compatibility matrix?" Miguel asked. "Did we pass the official evaluation?" Observer Nexus's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been amusement. "Your species has earned a unique designation in the Galactic database, where others are listed as masters of specific domains. Humanity will be recorded as weavers of connections, those who understand how all paths intertwine." Maya watched Earth slowly rotate below them, thinking about how this revelation would change her world. "When do we begin?" "The first teachers from each assembly species will arrive within one lunar cycle," Nexus replied. "We suggest using this time to prepare your people for contact. The galaxy is vast, but through your unique perspective, it may finally begin to truly understand itself." As the observation vessel prepared to make itself known to Earth's authorities, Maya reflected on their journey. They had begun searching for humanity's place among the stars, expecting to find themselves lacking compared to the galaxy's greatest powers. Instead, they had discovered that their greatest strength lay not in mastering one path to power, but in seeing how all paths connected. The database entry for humanity would remain unique among the assembly records, not a testament to supreme power in one domain, but a celebration of the ability to bring all domains together in harmony. As they prepared to guide Earth into a new era of galactic cooperation, Maya realized that they had discovered something far greater than power. They had found their true purpose among the stars.